right?
You could call yourself Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
You just, okay. So,
So you can just introduce yourself
yeah, we just
and
want
stop,
you
and
to
then
introduce
we'll get
yourself
going.
and
Okay.
pause.
Okay. My name is Catherine Zanga, and I'm currently battling fallopian tube cancer, very similar to ovarian.
Okay, say that one more time for me.
My name is Catherine Zanga, and I'm currently battling fallopian tube cancer, which is very similar to ovarian.
Just tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Well, we're in 2013, and earlier this year, in February, actually end of January, I had a cold. At least I thought I had a cold. Went to see urgent care, had trouble breathing, increasingly having trouble breathing. They sent me home with some steroids, thought I had some, and some antibiotics, thought I had some sort of infection. Long story short, none of that worked. Finally, my primary care physician sent me for an x-ray. After the technician saw the x-ray, she called the doctor immediately. They didn't let me leave. Got the doctor on the phone. The doctor said, you need to go to the ER immediately, right now. I don't care which ER you go to, go now. Fortunately, my husband was waiting outside in the car. He drove me to the ER. When they finally examined me, they found that there was a lot of fluid in my chest. Weren't sure of the cause, just a lot of fluid. After about 5 days in the hospital, the end result was I came out of that hospital stay finding out that I had stage 4. They thought ovarian, because that's what the markers came back as, ovarian cancer. And the stage 4 bit of it, besides the spread inside my abdomen, was also that it was in my lung or my chest cavity, which was making my chest fill up with fluid. I was only 39 years old at the time. I have no family history of breast or ovarian cancer as far as we know. There could be someone 2 or 3 generations back perhaps, or actually 3 or 4 generations back when they didn't know what caused it. I've been genetically tested. I have none of the common genetic markers for ovarian cancer, for fallopian tube cancer, so I tested negative for BRCA and also for Lynch syndrome. I had no other risk factors, was not, I mean, as you can see, although I have lost some weight, I was not heavily obese or anything at the time. Exercised regularly. I ate very healthy, organic foods as whenever I could, local foods from farmers. And I have a 4-year-old and, actually he just turned 5, I'm sorry, he's 5 now, but he was 4 at the time, and a 7-year-old who is now 8. So I have 2 very young children. So obviously it makes it for a difficult situation and something that I was completely blindsided with. People in my family die of heart disease. They don't die of cancer.
Mm-hmm. And what do you want people to know about Catherine and about Catherine's story? I mean, you've got 30 some odd years of life to now, but what do you want people to know about you and your journey?
Well, the cancer isn't all me, obviously. This happened at age 39, which is relatively young. To this point, I had taken a few years off work, but I'm an attorney by license. I mean, by training, by education, etc. I was intending to go back to work when my youngest was in regular school. This cancer came out of nowhere, absolutely came out of nowhere, and has completely changed our priorities in our life. Before, if we were taking a trip, for instance, we might say, well, we'll do one special thing on this trip, but if we may come back to this place later. There are 2 or 3 other special things. We'll do them when we come back. Well, given the current prognosis for this cancer, we've changed the priorities in terms of we do everything now. I try to spend as much time with the kids now, whereas perhaps before I might have been looking at Facebook or researching for a purchase or something on a computer while the kids are playing. Obviously not exclusively, I'm not the world's best mom, not the world's worst mom either. But priorities now have changed. I'm much more focused on the kids. It stinks that it took this to have to do that. And I hope that it's not necessary. I guess what I'm saying is I'm preparing for the worst in terms of my priorities and behavior, but I am hoping for the best with this. And what also stinks is I didn't know anything about this ovarian cancer, gynecological cancers. Again, no one in my family has had this. So this has been very, very eye-opening for me. And I don't want other people to be in the same situation of being completely ignorant if something, God forbid, were to happen to them like this. And I should also just back up if I could say one other thing about this. I have heard people say, well, if I just get the CA-125 test, or if I just get a yearly ultrasound, I will find it, and that's okay. I don't have to worry about it as long as I eat right, as long as I exercise, as long as I don't have the genes. It's not true, because although I told you before I didn't meet any of those risk factors, I also got yearly ultrasounds because I have I have endometriosis very badly. I've had it for goodness knows how long. So because of that, I got yearly ultrasounds. Nothing was ever seen. 18 months before my diagnosis, I had a chest x-ray because my doctor thought I might have a pulmonary embolism. 18 months. There was nothing seen on that CT scan. And yet, when I got diagnosed this past February, I have enough cancer in my chest to be filling up my chest with fluid. There needs to be a lot more awareness, and most importantly, there needs to be a lot more funds and attention pumped into this cancer. And that's why organizations like Lydia's Legacy are fabulous by bringing this cancer to people's attention. So that hopefully the situation that happened in the 1980s with Gildner Radner, everyone's heard of Gildner Radner, and the same drugs that she was taking then, which didn't work so well for her, are the same drugs, the same family of drugs, which are still being used today. There's just not enough attention and time being pushed into this.
So tell me, how did you hear about Lydia's Legacy? I mean, I know that Whitney told me about you, but how did you come to know about Lydia's Legacy?
Before I was diagnosed with this, before I got sick, I guess it was September of 2012, Lydia's Legacy came to the Junior League of Charlotte. And I've been a member of the Junior League of Charlotte since I moved here in 2004 or 5, something like that. She, Karen, the president of Lydia's Legacy and the founder, played a video that, for the Junior League, the membership, the general membership there, that was amazing. And really, I know that it was started because of the video, in memory of Karen's mom, Lydia. And that's when I first found out about Lydia's Legacy. And of course, I went online to check out the website and see what good actions and activities that they were doing. But it's very impressive, and it's very important to have something like this that's local. National is good, and we need more of that, but we need more local too.
You talked a lot about awareness and education. We're getting into current patient support and survivor support. Talk about why that's so important, or tell us why you feel that is or isn't important to support people that are fighting right now.
I think a lot of people don't have support. I'm fortunate. I do have a lot of support, but not everyone is in my boat. I don't know for certain, not a doctor, but my understanding is the normal age for this disease is like in the mid-60s. So when individuals, especially if they're, they may not have as much family close, I guess is what I'm saying. Their family may have moved away at that point. But again, I have good support. If you don't have good support, and well, I should probably tell you a story. There's an artist who goes around CMC and does little art activities with the patients. Well, one of her activities is that she has people draw a bridge. And what you find out later is that that bridge is supposed to be representative of the amount of support that you have. So some people, she said, have drawn like a raft on an ocean. Well, that's an individual who doesn't feel like they have much support at all. Some people draw a stone bridge, set into the ground. Well, then that shows an individual who has very strong support. At least obviously it's not scientific, but it's an interesting exercise. And it just I think goes to show that organizations that work locally, like Lydia's Legacy, are very important, especially for those people who don't feel grounded, who don't feel like they have that support. And to have people cheering in their corner every day, oh my gosh, you don't know how important that is when you're dealing with the side effects of chemo. I'm going through weekly chemo right now, and it's not a fun thing. And so it's very good to have people or organizations by your side, or a combo of both.
So, what's your biggest hope as it relates to women's cancer today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, 40 years from now?
I want there to be a cure tomorrow. What else would I say about that? Obviously, yeah, there are some cancers which have received more attention than other cancers, and they've received more funding as a result, which leads to better drugs, more options for drugs, et cetera. And you don't begrudge organizations or other cancers for that support. That's great. I just hope that every cancer can get that kind of support, including and especially, selfishly, ovarian cancer. Again, fallopian tube being just like that. I would like to see that chemo goes by the wayside in 10 years, and instead of chemo, you have genetically tailored to the specific individual treatments, which are apparently in the research pipeline right now. That would allow your own body's immune system to assist in getting rid of cancers. It'd be much more effective. You wouldn't have the side effects that you do now. You always hear this every 20 years, but you always hear that in 20 years, with the research that's going on now, we won't have this cancer issue anymore. I hope that's true. I really do, because that will be great for basically my peer group as they head into their 60s and generally are more susceptible to the cancers at that time.
Where do you find your strength, Catherine?
I have no strength. I am so darn weak. That's
Not physical strength.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I totally do.
You would never know it by
Denial?
sitting in this chair.
How about denial? That's probably that. Pretend it doesn't exist. That was very difficult to do early on when the chemo that I was getting at the time didn't work, and I had to get my chest cavity drained every few weeks. That was fun. And it's hard when you cannot breathe to deny the existence of the cancer. But right now, since I can breathe because the drugs, knock on wood, seem to be doing okay. I'm only 6 weeks into them. It's honestly, it's denial and busyness. Keep myself busy because I am no way strong on this.
What's your biggest fear?
Dying. That would be in a nutshell. My biggest fear is leaving my children. This sounds bad. With their dad. No, it's because I won't be there. My biggest fear is missing those seminal moments in their lives. And that without having their mom around, that they'll be messed up. I know that's probably not going to happen. I have a good husband, but that's probably my biggest fear on a personal level. On a more global level, it would be that somebody 40 years from now, or that my daughter, for instance, if she hits 40 years old, goes through the same thing with the same drugs. That would be a tragedy.
What have you learned during this current journey about what's lacking from a support perspective? What do you wish was there that you haven't had?
Like I said, I've been very lucky to have a very good support network. Honestly, I've been surprised at the level of support within a hospital without the hospital. I really think that an organization like Lydia's Legacy that can provide support for individuals is amazing and fabulous because, as I said before, there are so many individuals that don't have that same level of support. I would feel bad taking that kind of support away from anyone else because I've been so blessed.
And what have you learned about Catherine Zank during your journey? What have you learned about you?
I've learned how little I knew about cancer in general, what people who were going through cancer were going through. I wish on a more personal level that I had been more present for those individuals that I knew, like when I was little, like adults that I knew that were parents of friends, etc., who were going through cancer. I did not know how stinky this disease is. And I always thought that since that I didn't have the risk factors as I knew them for cancer, and the fact that I was eating healthy and living and exercising and living right as much as I could, that I wouldn't have to worry about it. And so I guess what I've learned is just the impact of ignorance.
I feel like my mom left me her legacy as a community volunteer. She had an unrelenting spirit. She was just kind, beyond belief. And I know one day I'm not going to be here. We're all not going to be here one day. What legacy do you want to leave?
I haven't figured that out yet. I know that unless something drastically changes with this particular disease, I'm probably not going to be able to resume my work as an attorney. If I had been working when this disease occurred, that would be different. But since I wasn't working at the time and would have to get a new position, it's probably not going to happen. So what gifts do I have to offer? Well, all this education as an attorney, all the training frankly, as a litigator or prosecutor in my past, a lot of public speaking, I can advocate. I can be a mouthpiece, and I have a story. So the only thing I can say as a legacy right now, it's not going to be career-wise. I would like to say also to be my kids, but frankly, if I hope I don't, but if I die in the next few years, they're not going to have spent much of their life with me. Then the legacy that I hope to be able to leave, as limited as it would be to, in my small way, to raise awareness and to assist in this fight against this disease.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you very much.
Fabulous. This guy just